Have we actually said like welcome to the Blue Ridge?
We know. Hey, welcome to the. We got really excited on this one.
We got new jerky, so we're really excited about the new jerky.
It's like being bathed in dill pickles.
So welcome to the Blue Ridge.
Sounds horrifying.
The Blue Ridge beef jerky tasting,
where we also have a podcast.
And there's maybe some discussion about traveling in your vehicle.
Yep.
Or
so
something else.
This snackage review episode, we have got another 3-alarm Overland gourmet brisket, beef jerky, dill pickle. And you probably realize we had a real soft start there where we were discussing how I love pickles and Logan hates happiness. So,
And thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, thanks for Bobby and 3-alarm
for being
once again
so great. 3-alarm.
Whoa, this is going to be a
all right. Give me a
Willy Wonka experience, I think.
Oh, really?
Man, there should be a remake where he just makes.
Oh wow, that does have some.
Everything in the new Willy Wonka should just be beef jerky themed, like instead of candy.
I'm gonna regret this, but I have to smell it. Yeah, that's offensive. No,
you don't like the smell of that?
No.
Oh no, that's not bad.
No,
I mean I'm a very simple beef jerky guy. Peppered, overcook it. Like I like my bacon, a lot of salt.
Yeah,
a little bit of maple maybe. Just cook the shit out of it.
No, honestly, there's like a good saltiness to that. And the dill is way more mellow on the taste than it is the smell. Like way more mellow. No.
Surprisingly good. Dill pickle beef jerky from gourmet beef jerky from 3-alarm Overland.
Yeah.
Not well done, guys. I'm surprised. And
what is this little? This is one from your subscription.
This is a subscription. This is
jerky fries.
This is Big John's, which maybe should be my CB handle. Handcrafted, slow smoked over real hickory.
Yeah, I get that.
This product has sesame. It's made in York, Pennsylvania by the Big John's Beef Jerky Company. This is mango jalapeno. And I'm going to tell you again, my palate is not typically sophisticated enough for all this fancy stuff.
Mango jalapeno?
Best if consumed within 7 days of opening.
No, it'll be fine. It just comes more jerky.
That's what I thought. But
is it like sweet? Like maybe the mango's just sweet.
I don't get any kind of that. Right.
This also doesn't have a like.
Yeah, mango jalapeno is.
This also doesn't have a where it's from, like a made in. I wonder if it's actually made in York, Pennsylvania, or maybe this one isn't going to get. Actually, I don't think you should worry about this one too much being tariffed, being hit by the tariffs, because you probably don't want to buy it. I'm just saying. Wow, the last 2 subscription ones have been a little disappointing because the first couple were really good. Maybe that's how they get you. Thank you, Sam, for trying to expand our palate, my palate anyway. I do appreciate the effort there, but props to the dill pickle 3-alarm Overland. It was surprisingly good.
I think I'm gonna go back down to the shop and order some of that carne asada after Cam absconded with all of it. Well, from 3-alarm. All right, so this episode.
Last episode not actually about beef jerky and beef jerky tasting.
You might be surprised, but
much like life, isn't it always a little bit about beef jerky?
That's a good point. You may have to speed that up. Can you play the beef jerky part at like 2 times speed so we get through it quicker?
Sure.
Because I feel like we put a lot of time into beef jerky.
So, built not bought is a phrase that gets thrown around, in the off-road overland world, things like that. So this episode, we're going to talk about like the pros and cons of buying a built rig, building your rig, and then maybe like some other options. And I say that because I feel that like Matt and I, at least, our most recent trucks are kind of like built from the factory. You know what I mean? Like
I would say
a good chunk of the way there, which I feel like that's maybe a more recently available option, I mean, I guess, it's been for years you've been able to buy a Rubicon Jeep that was pretty much ready to roll. But maybe the whole upfitter thing is a little bit different now. So, Matt, you definitely have more rigs than anybody else in this room under your belt. I know you've done some serious building on some.
I have. So here's what I think is interesting. This is there's a guy who came to a flea market long ago, like one of the really early ones, and I don't even remember his name, but he was an aspiring truck off road builder, more of a crawler, dude, and he was you know excited about building stuff, and then like in the evening, all he did was rip on people that didn't build their own stuff. It was like mind boggling to me as I was sitting there listening to, you want to install things for a living
Right.
and custom build things for a living, but everybody who doesn't weld their own bumper is an idiot, or is a hack or whatever. I think that's interesting. I think you get that perspective from some people that are just like, oh, you have to build it. You have to build it. I mean, I've always done some modifications on my own, but I have cut the rockers out of them and welded in plate and, and plated the frames and put in stiffeners and, put axles in them and put gears and put lockers.
Earlier XJ, kind of crowd, like you for sure have like
boat sided them.
Done as much metal work as the guy at the factory did. Yeah.
I've had some that have it was more my steel than it was Jeep steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I appreciate that because sometimes I enjoy just the building process, and I get that if that's what you're building a treehouse, right? Like, because that's what all this stuff is a little bit for me. Like it's I didn't have enough treehouse time as a kid, I guess, but it just becomes that project that I putter on. And at the same time, like the last one, I basically gave it to Jeremy and said, do these things
because cool.
Here's the things I want. I'm just shipping you stuff and put it together, and I just want to drive it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
I can see both sides. Like I can appreciate where somebody enjoys the craft and the actual making stuff and putting in the wiring and doing all the stuff. And at the same time, like you put a lot of time into building something and you could have been using it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think that's the whole, right? Like if the goal is to be out and to be traveling, I think buying makes a lot of sense. And I think economically, a lot of times you're just better off buying somebody else put a lot of time into, and they're not going to get the money out of it.
Right.
Because there's a lot of that. I mean, like you see a lot of pretty nice built rigs that they're worth very little over what they are factory.
Right. Yeah,
and especially some of the higher end stuff, some of the, the more expensive stuff. Somebody lights 90 cents or 80 cents on the dollar on fire regularly on a truck.
Yeah.
When they're doing it, you might as well be the
guy that comes and picks up the dimes.
Right. Yeah. You might as well give dimes for dollars on that front. I really think that's probably a pretty smart way to do it, because there's a lot of nice built vehicles out there right now that people are turning in and starting on something else. And I really think that's a missed opportunity for a lot of people,
especially for that. You see this a lot when like new generations something come out, right? Like there's these guys that I'm not an early adopter, but I appreciate the early adopters because they find out all the gremlins, right?
Right.
And so you have these guys that, we'll just use the Tundra, for example. Like the new Tundra came out, well, I got to dump my 5.7 to get this new one.
Right.
Well, suddenly there's a bunch of like, mid to lightly used 5.7s on the market that,
And some of them are pretty nicely put together.
Yeah, right.
And that gives...
And I get, it's a personality, like I want the latest, greatest. But,
right.
If you're willing to like ride the backside of that crest of that wave, like you can get some really cool stuff kind of across the board.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's a really interesting place to be, because like I said, you think about, I don't know, what's a new Tundra, 50, 60?
I think it's like your left kidney, your firstborn, and 70. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I think when we built a couple of new ones before they were having all the problems, and I think I was under 60.
Yeah, no. I mean, you can probably get into one for like, and I say get into a pretty decent one for like mid 50s probably.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the one what I was looking at was sort of in the 60 range. And so let's say you put $10,000 on top of that truck, or $15,000 on top of the 55, right?
Right.
You're now 70 in. And most people aren't going to write a check for 70. They got to go to the bank, right? Mm-hmm. And you got to go to the bank, and that truck's only worth 45.
Right. Yeah.
So, either somebody's got to come to the dance with an extra 20 or 30 grand to get you any of your money back, or you're going to take 45 for it.
Yeah.
And somebody just got $20,000 worth of upgrades or $15,000 worth of upgrades for free.
Yeah. Now, that being said, you for sure see on the secondary market, I know what I got, man, that's just not the way it works. If you can find the sucker that will give you the extra 20 grand, cool.
Right.
But yeah.
But most of the time you can't.
You're in a tough spot. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, that guy's got to come to the dance with a bunch of cash, and most people are not coming to the party with a suitcase full of money.
Yeah.
And that's a tough spot to be in when you're building new trucks.
Yeah. No, 100%.
So if I have my option, the truck I have now is 4 or 5 years old when I got it.
So that's what I was going to say. So I drive a ZR2. Matt has a Prospector, which the ZR2 obviously isn't an upfitter, but it's like the highest factory trim. And there was a AEB upfitter option for that. I think after building out the Tacoma, which I was younger, bought it used.
Yeah.
It was pretty much bone stock. Did bumper, did sliders, did suspension, did different storage. It had iterations.
We did some of that at my shop. I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember what all, but I remember her at the house.
Part of the suspension and the bumper. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think after that, I knew what I wanted, like the type of suspension and, and things like that and like lockers.
Yeah.
So when I started shopping, I was like, well, I'm not just going to turn around and do the same projects over. Right.
Right.
For me, it was like, wait, well, the ZR2, all that's factory. So you can finance that stuff. Like, it is covered by, warranty, stuff like that. So then I can focus on what's the cargo management aspect of it. What's the
what's the power solution?
Yeah,
what's
power and communications, and
right, because the running gear is what you wanted.
Yeah. Right.
No, that's very much the way. That's very much the way the Prospector is for me. Is the running gear it checked all the boxes I wanted. It rides pretty well. It will take a 37. I have 35s on it, but it had 37s when I got it. Yeah. Which is more tire than I wanted.
And also for me, the kicker with that kind of like built not bought is like, I would love to, but man, I've got enough like between like, property upkeep, work and other projects. I just don't have time to like be turning wrenches.
Yeah. No, 100%.
As much as I would need to get it where I want it to be.
Yeah. Just because you bought it doesn't mean you can't build it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's, can I weld a bumper together and make it look okay? Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time and a lot of grinding wheels and a lot of screwing around. And if I'm going to invest that time someplace else, or do I want that time to be out? You know what I mean? Like
100%.
You could reduce your fishing time and have built a truck. But I mean, that's what we're talking about, right? Like that's right. That's the option. It's like, or you could get the truck that you've got now and you can be fishing on, you can fish 2 or 3 days a week.
Right. Yeah.
Or you could not be fishing and you could be working on your truck. Right, and if working on your truck's what your passion is, great, rock on, have at it.
Yeah.
Like I totally get that.
But for me, it's always a tool to get out further to hike, fish, ride.
Right. And that's, I have that same, right. It's very much a tool for me. It's, and at that point,
now
I don't mind fixing my washer and dryer or my refrigerator, but at the same time, I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to make it.
Yeah. If you didn't build your dishwasher, you're a poser.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what I feel like a little bit.
Now let's swing that pendulum the other direction, because Logan, on the other hand, I mean, Logan has got a wild story about his rig, but you are starting not from scratch, because I mean, like in its current state, it's pretty capable. But you were really making it what you want,
Yeah.
I will say the one thing about your scenario in the building it versus buying it, one, you don't have you're not at this point doing a ton of suspensions and lockers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And if you do, the suspension that you would do on that is not crazy.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty normalized stuff.
Going back to the Homer Simpson, you're not doing suspension and lockers yet.
Yeah.
Right. We're not putting portals on it, which I've worked on really hard, but we've not talked him into that. But I mean, you're in it at such a low cost.
Yeah.
That like the reality is, as far as money lit on fire goes, you're not going to light a bunch of money on fire with it unless it just pukes its guts out all over the road.
We do need to go to North Carolina and get that Baja rack, though.
I know. Yeah, there's a Baja rack, like the one that has the flat rooftop tent back and a basket on the front.
Oh, yeah?
For $600.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's
Yeah, those
quite
were like
tempting.
1650 back when they were new.
Yeah.
They're still like 12 something. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel that it's like I didn't spend a lot on it up front, so I can do it. But also, I'm not going to be rock crawling at all. So similar, if I was going to buy something like this, it's still a little bit like what you guys said. Even though it was used and a good deal, it's also like I don't really need more
Yeah,
than
right,
that.
no.
And like you said, I might put springs in it instead of the air once that starts to go, and then that will be a conversation like how high, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't need that
Yeah.
to do what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
So it's like
No, I mean,
Inches of lift.
that thing's
That'd be
real
crazy.
It's kind of top heavy. Like we had it in some pretty curvy roads yesterday. Whew.
Yeah.
I think if you got like 6 inches of lift, you also would need 6-point harnesses. There's like some sort of like
there's a correlation there.
yeah.
There's a
To
diagram.
amount of-
Yeah.
The Venn diagram to
Yeah.
lift and
Yeah.
I feel like what you said about your Toyota is, since I don't know, it's kind of nice to start with a plat. Like, this is pretty cool, does what it needs to,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, even already just realizing, yes, that is definitely a thing I want. Or
Yeah.
I don't know if I care as much about that as I might have thought that I would have
There-
at the time. You know?
yeah, there's something to be said for that. The nice thing is that, like I said, buying one that's done is, you just, I hate to say you don't think about that stuff, but you can make minor changes to something
Yeah.
and not spend much
And
money.
I think yours is a pretty decent commuter. You want it for your work, so like the massive amount of cargo room that's in that thing is a big pro. So you don't want to eat up that. But no, I think your idea of a roof rack so you can throw some kayaks or you can throw some gear up there if you're sleeping inside.
Yeah.
A rooftop tent down the road, and then like bumper and sliders just to keep the sheet metal straight, and then. Yeah.
And
Or
let's be
not
honest-
care about the sheet metal and let her bend. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. With the cost of that truck, who gives
buy
a
a
shit?
fender.
Wrap her on a rock and
I also, again,
and put a Band-Aid on it and wish it well.
when we start doing like events in the fall, maybe this will change. Right now, even when I'm taking like camping next week, I don't think I'm going to be going anywhere where I'm super concerned about that at this
I don't
point.
know, man.
But I do like the look of a front bumper, like the grill and that thing's a little
You know
silly
that one
sometimes.
really nice campsite up there where we were at.
Yeah.
You need a little more.
That is absolutely
clearance
true.
to get in and out of that. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, deer would be around here. Deer would be.
Yeah.
Deer would be
That's a real thing.
your day in and day out bumper.
I mean,
Yeah.
night before last, somebody clipped one right outside of our driveway. I mean,
I
it's 20
I
feet.
destroyed the front bumper of the Kia that I had before this. Like,
Yeah.
I got
Just-
one last year. This is the craziest. I had 2 good deer wrecks in a 3-year period. One, it jumped. No joke. This was crazy. I'm pulling down a gravel driveway, like barely moving.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere fast. We're talking like 8 miles an hour with a horse trailer and a horse.
Matt's
Right.
driveway is a 2-track.
This wasn't even my driveway. This was a driveway down.
I
down
thought this was on yours.
No, down in Huddleston. We're rolling in for Nora was roping, so we were going to team roping, and I'm rolling down this driveway at like less than 10 miles an hour because I just horse gravel driveway. I'm just tooling my way in. I'm early, no need to hurry, and no joke, it's dusk, and one of them comes up straight in front of my lights. I don't touch it. The next one goes straight between the truck and trailer. And
It was touched.
straight underneath the trailer. I didn't even know what happened until I look back in the mirror and I see it flip underneath the truck and I'm like, or flip underneath the trailer. I'm like, you're dead. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even.
Yeah.
Anyway, bumper for deer is more important. The other one I got, I wasn't the driver. I just happened to be in the participating.
Yeah.
Was in Kansas. And let me tell you, that was bad. That was
you
like,
watched it run towards the van for 15 minutes, right? Like,
well, I mean, they locked up the brakes and still hit it at 40 miles an hour, and it dove like straight square into the bumper, mashed, van's totaled, and then one light's hanging off the side. It's now like dangling by the wires, pointing off into the field, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, we're all like, holy shit, what just happened? Again, we're at that point, we're on the way to the flipping national championships. Laura was shooting the national championships, and I was riding along, and with 2 other people that were shooting that same event. And mash this deer on the way to the first day. And the next thing I know, I look over and there's a deer that dives head first into the headlight.
Yeah.
I mean, like he was called to a moth to a flame to this like what now is a spotlight off to the side again, 5:30 in the morning maybe, and just mashes the side of this truck, spins himself off, hits the side of mashes the side, caves in the door of the van. I'm like devastating.
Yeah.
Devastating.
Like this van is cursed.
Yeah, no, it was done at that point. There was nothing usable. I mean, we did end up getting it the 4 miles we had left to the match, but at that point it was like the radiator was caved in. It was doomed. Those 4 miles were all she had.
I think that it kind of depends. I think you should go through the build process, but still start where you want it to be.
Yeah, I think the further along you can start, the more economical it is.
Yeah.
And the more time you spend fishing or whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that's the kicker. And again, if the goal is to build stuff, rock on, build away, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's a great concept. And I love home built stuff. Adam's Jeep, Adam's XJ is really neatly done. Diesel conversion, just put a bigger turbo on it, like years and years of time into that. He's lots and lots of time into that truck.
Yeah.
And it's, very much a labor of love for him. And I understand that too. What I don't understand are the sort of, if you didn't build it, you suck.
If you didn't build it, you don't deserve it.
Right. Yeah, it's something weird like that. I don't get that.
Yeah.
And again, the other thing is, it's like just because you didn't build it doesn't mean you don't have the capability. It's just the decisions that you're making at that time.
And I think too, maybe people just like, even if outside the capability, like maybe that is like just a narrow POV, for people of like, oh, you're not really into it if you didn't build your own. Well, I mean, maybe that guy's work schedule allows one or the other.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I think that's a tough
Much
thing.
like most opinions on the internet. Remember, it may just be your own narrow-mindedness.
It may just be that you suck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Your own narrow worldview is a cage that you're screaming inside of.
You're screaming inside of us, and none of the rest of us give a shit.
So I built one. Now I bought one. Now you've got my head. I am constantly looking at like Cayennes now. And
because when I was looking, before I got this, I had looked at them. They're still in my Facebook Marketplace. Every time there's one within like 120 miles, I see it.
And for me, it would probably be less like my truck or my Tacoma, my current truck or my Tacoma. It would be more like what you're doing. I would do like a sleep platform, and that would be maybe an awning. This would be a little bit more like, I want to go fast and I want to go places. And sometimes I want to go places fast. So yeah. So like, 35s and,
Man, a Cayenne on 35s would be...
Yeah. Like tall, skinny 35s.
So that just...
Some good, robust sliders, a bunch of lights across the front, and a willingness to use the right foot. Like,
Yeah, no, that the problem is I have so many vehicles that I want or that I have interest in.
A badass Dalton Highway rig.
A badass what?
Dalton Highway rig.
Oh,
like
yeah.
If you ever want to run the Dalton Highway.
Yeah.
Have a good suspension on it, stuff like that, to where you can kind of get on it.
Yeah.
So.
No, there's, like you said, there's so many vehicles that I want that I just haven't had the opportunity yet. Yeah. I mean, Toyota Sienna still ranking very high on my list.
We saw one yesterday, and we're like, that dude in the campground. We're like, that dude's living Matt's dream.
Right? Was it lifted?
I don't think so.
Now, there is a lifted one like down near Roanoke.
Yeah,
like,
no, I've seen one.
Area.
Yeah. I've 100% seen one with like 31s on it or something.
I've seen it like, what's the little road that cuts from 81 over to 460?
81 over to
220.
220? Yeah.
I've seen it twice on that road. So they have to like work or live
in that area.
Because once we were coming off 81 and they were at the light going towards Roanoke. And then one time we were going towards 81 and they were coming back up. Yeah.
The problem is all the vehicles I want are relatively useless in general. You know what I mean? Like, not that a minivan isn't useful, but like it's not, at the end of the day, it's not classic. It's not, it's like,
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Yeah.
But there's something to just knowing that you like the weird things too.
Well, I mean, it's like
that's me with a 1990 Montero, right? It's not highly desirable. It's not particularly like mechanically impressive, but it's so boxy. I love it.
So boxy.
I like boxes.
I
Yeah.
like things that are square.
Yeah.
No, but it's Dad. If my dad had his way, he would have a garage full of old trucks, right? Like that would just classic trucks that were.
Speaking of your dad, sorry, I'm gonna take the wheel from you.
Oh yeah, go ahead, drive.
The other day, Matt or Liz was driving one of his dad's old trucks, and I had like an epiphany in the parking lot.
Oh, who's that? Was I saw them.
Yeah,
That was a
no,
cool
that's his
truck.
dad's.
Yeah.
It's a what year?
I don't know. It's a 90.
Like-
it's not that old. It's a 90.
2, 3?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Chevy.
Single cab.
Short bed.
Short bed.
4-wheel drive. Dad likes, for some reason, likes single cab, short bed.
Little bit of a
four-wheel
lift.
drive. Yeah, a little bit of lift.
And it
like
hit me-
33s on
It's
it.
like a champagne, right? Color.
It's gray. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like a nice silver gray.
Yeah, some metal flake.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was like gray or like a little goldish. They had
Yeah.
some weird colors. It needs a Project M
It would be super bad with a Project M.
and like a really minimal, like
As long as you didn't want to go more than 55 or 60, because it's not really a get out of the way.
Yeah,
kind of
no,
truck.
but that's fine because I need the people to see how cool I look.
Yeah, you want them to make sure.
Yeah.
And it would be a badass truck like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and he is an old, an 80s or very early 80s Ford. And,
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's a truck I could build though.
You know what truck? It's not even a specific model. It's just in general. When I see old, like step sides, like the smaller step sides, there's something about that
Yeah.
body style that I love.
The last
So-
Cars and Coffee I went to, there was one, and I was like, man, the step side design is one of those things that either looks great or the designer should have been like, put in the hole. Like,
Yeah.
there is.
the old ones are nice.
Yeah.
Most of the newish ones I'm not a fan of, but
Yeah.
the older ones I have some affinity for, like the 70s Chevy step
Yeah.
size.
Some of the last ones, like there were step side Tundras.
Yeah, that's bad.
Remember the F-150 that only lasted a couple years,
Yes.
like around late 2000
Yeah.
before 2010.
Yeah.
Like there was a step side version of that, also a war crime.
Yeah.
Like, but there some of the older ones,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that was done right. Yeah.
Yeah. The 69, 70, 71s, 72s.
Yeah.
That era is really nice. And
Yeah.
Chevys, step sides.
Yeah.
I could do a 60s. I could do a late or mid 60s. Would be a 60, like 65 GMC. That might be my
Yeah.
my dream store it in the garage truck.
Yeah.
If I couldn't find another one that would be really awesome would be the flat nose Jeep, little cab over Jeeps, the forward control Jeeps.
C10?
I don't know. It'd be a forward control, so
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
I don't know what the number is on
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
but that's one I could totally get behind.
So
I could have another J truck. I had a '76 J
Oh,
truck
yeah.
that I
like a J10?
yeah, I was an idiot.
Is that a
yeah
Yeah.
J10s and J20s? Yeah,
Something I could build. We looked at these. Something if I ever end up with a Gladiator, like a modern Gladiator, it would be really difficult for me not to buy that fiberglass body kit that I showed you.
yeah.
That makes them look like an old J series,
Yeah.
like ish.
Yeah.
It'd be like a modern reinterpretation of that. That is just like they must be. I don't know. Like maybe people don't know about it. Maybe it's not great quality. I don't know. This is all speculation, but I can't believe you don't see more of them because I think they look super cool.
Yeah.
On a going back to the built, I have occasionally thought. And I mean, we live here in the East, so like it would be a terrible spot to have it. But like going back to cab overs, last time we were in Tennessee, there was an Isuzu cab over box truck. I was like, man, buy that thing, dump the box, and just put a camper on the back of it.
Yeah, or build the box into a camper.
Yeah.
That would be, especially the walkthrough ones.
Yeah.
Those are pretty slick, and some of the 4-doors in those are kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff out there that would be pretty cool to own.
The only problem is it would scrape tree limbs in my driveway. Let alone the actual woods.
For sure,
Yeah.
in my driveway. Yeah, I don't know. My Sienna's going to make my list at some point,
Yeah.
and Cayenne's going to make my list at some point.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know.
No.
This is really a detour we made here.
Oh, no.
sorry.
It's things we
Yeah.
want to build
Build
and
there,
buy.
yeah.
Built versus bought, and why not both? That was
Well,
the
not both.
third segment.
That's the downfall to the Sienna is finding one that's built is really hard to do.
There's like 6.
I've seen two. I've seen 2 in the wild. So I don't know.
right? Yeah.
Which makes me want to.
I guess that's the other side of that equation. If you get too weird, you don't have to worry about buying it because you have to build it.
Right.
Because no one else has.
Right.
Yeah.
If anybody's got a line on a cheap LR3 steel bumper, though, give us a shout. We're trying to. I feel like at this point, Logan
If
almost
anybody has a line on a cheap LR3, give us a shout because I would be interested.
Yeah,
in
right. No, I think
I
Logan
actually
is.
saw one. I saw one. It was a 2006, which I hear is slightly more risky from people I've talked to. But I think it had 140,000. It was like 140,000 miles, $2,500.
Where was that at?
It was in Virginia. I forget where. I was like within 200 miles of here, wherever it was.
Because it was on Marketplace.
Yeah, it's on
Yeah,
Marketplace.
so it has to be within 200
Yeah.
miles. No, I think I've
But
seen
it's-
some in the
it's-
like 5-6 range, but like as clean as yours is, as well as it runs for the price,
Yeah.
you almost have like a self-imposed challenge of like how cheap can I build this thing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this one was, it sounded similar to mine. Like it looked in pretty good condition. The guy was selling it for his dad, and there was some stuff wrong with it. Like he said, he thought there was a leak in the suspension. So it was like,
Yeah.
you probably have to figure that out. Like there were a couple things, but they were all things I was like, probably no worse than what mine is.
Yeah.
From what I,
The problem is like the ones that the Siennas and stuff I want are just
They're not $2,500.
they're not $2,500.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let us
Not yet,
know.
anyway.
Sorry, even by our own standards, I think we may be tangenting.
Yeah. So
Let us know your thoughts on built versus bought. You know, what route have you went? Thoughts on both? You know, if you're kind of been on both sides of that fence. You know, if you have a smoking hot deal like Logan, you know, might as well build it.
or
I am
call
a
us
smoking
because
hot
we
deal.
might be interested.
Yeah. So let us know kind of your thoughts on this one. So
And any smoking hot deals on
on LR3s
square
or
body Chevy
Cayennes
trucks, square body
or
Ford trucks.
yeah.
60s era GMCs.
Yeah, no. I
LR3s.
still want a 2000 or sorry, I still want a 1997 F250 four-door.
That would be good if you got a good deal on one of those.
Yeah.
Only with the 7.3 though, because I'm not.
I don't even care if it's a
interested in
good
gas.
deal. Like you got somebody you don't like that has one, I'll come, you know, for the free 50 discount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
anyway,
All right, so we'll see you in 2 weeks with more beef jerky and more podcasting. We don't have a discount code for this one. Yellowstone. I have to make notes because at this point we're several weeks out. Yellowstone, all one word, all capital letters. That is the end of the podcast discount code for this one.